The ultimate future is autonomous law firm, where you essentially have one operator who is running a very big practice with a very minimal staff. And the interactions that are with the prospects and clients are all AI. You're just going to be running a traditional practice, do your thing, whatever referrals I get, whatever that I get from Google, whatever calls I get, I'll deal with that. Over time, these people who are focused on the business are going to eat up the market. The pace of change is ever increasing every single week, where the change used to be on a year basis. Now it seems like it's weeks to weeks. Then eventually it'll be on a day-to-day progress. Then eventually it'll be hour by hour, then minute to minute. So I can't even guess what will happen in the next 12 months, let alone in the next 4 or 5 years.
We foresee that with the prominence of AI in a lot of sectors of marketing today, there will be a hell of a lot more marketing companies exiting the business in the next 5 years rather than entering the business, which I'm curious, as you are a very future forward thinking guy, where do you see legal market, the whole thing heading into the next 5 years? Not a year, but in 5 years.
I think the ultimate future is a kind of an autonomous law firm, where you essentially have one operator who is running a very big practice with a very minimal staff. And the interactions that are done, that are with the prospects and clients are all AI. So that means AI is the one that's texting and calling up your prospects. AI is the one signing them up. AI is the one collecting the documents. AI is the one who's going to get all the information and the documents and start the drafting. The last level, maybe with the lawyer will review, do the due diligence to make sure everything is good, file it. AI is going to take over to be able to deal with the opposing counsels or to settle it. And then AI is going to be able to distribute, the whatever that goes into oil to distribute the rest into, to the client. And then AI is going to ask for the Google review. So a lot of that, I would say like 89% of that operation is just going to be AI who's going to do this via text and via email and via phone calls. And then just a very, very, very small team of kind of managers that are overseeing this process. And obviously with a good insight about all the numbers. So what I just explained, this is literally what we're currently working on and building. We're taking it step by step. The first part that we've been able to solve is using AI to be able to sign up clients, which I could break that down into essentially 3 parts. First is increasing responsiveness, getting in contact with prospects. That's like one of the biggest issues with leads. Second is once you get in contact, then qualifying, essentially asking a set of questions to make sure that they qualify. And then third, either get them signed up or at the very least use AI. The AI will book these qualified prospects into the calendar of our best intakers for the intaker to be able to sign them up over Zoom or over the phone. So that's the first part. The second part is having AI to collect documents. Collecting documents we found to be the universal problem with all of our law firms. We could sign up the clients pretty well. It's just a numbers game. As long as we generate 100 clients, we'll have a conversion rate. X number of those prospects will sign up. Now that we sign up 10 clients, what's the survival rate of getting these 10 clients to the finish line, which is, hey, Bob, now that we signed you up, we need you to go get us these documents. We found out that for some reason people are lazy. People are lazy or they realize they don't have the time or they don't whatever, or people take short-term make short-term decisions, even though this case could be worth $10,000 to them. They'll go save money for $10 versus trying to provide documents that could make them $10,000. So we found that it's just essentially it's also another big hurdle we got to get through, which is helping these clients get their documents in order, provide all the information we need. If there's information and stuff that needs to be collected throughout the middle of the case, they'll be able to follow our instructions to be able to get them to the finish line. And that, what we call, is a survival rate. And right now we track that number across all of our law firms, and we're always looking to obviously increase it. So that's another big part that I think AI is going to really help a lot. And it's something that literally right now we're dealing with tomorrow. Like I just texted all our directors, hey, everybody, we've been pushing everybody to focus on the survival rate, but tomorrow we're going to be doing our big presentation. We've been talking about it for some time, but tomorrow is like, okay, let's get to like, what's the 5 changes we're going to make to be able to increase the survival rate? And then I have a feeling AI is going to be part of that conversation. So, but yeah, ultimately, fully autonomous law firm, everything, just like lay out the steps, but there's more steps to this. But AI is going to be able to step in across all those different departments and help out in those divisions.
So to summarize what you just said, there will be a dramatic reduction in lawyers and support staff.
In support staff, for sure. And instead of needing 3 or 4 lawyers, you're probably going to need 1 or 2 lawyers. So less lawyers. And doesn't mean lawyers are completely gone, but the good ones are going to be okay. The ones who are kind of doing repetitive tasks that is a lot of text heavy, that's definitely right for this disruption for sure.
So if we were to guess, here in early Q4 of 2025, by the end of 2030, we may see 60% reduction, 70% reduction in this field, easily.
I think it's very hard to predict that far out. I think there's been the pace of change is increasing, ever increasing every single week, where the change used to be on a year basis. Now it seems like it's weeks to weeks to months. Then eventually it'll be on a day-to-day progress. Then eventually it'll be hour by hour, then minute to minute. So I can't even guess what will happen in the next 12 months, let alone in the next 4 or 5 years. So I try not to, you can make some assumptions, you would assume, but yeah, over time, yeah, I would say definitely consolidation of the staff for sure. I mean, I already felt it. Again, I'm running these law firms. One of our main things that we do is we hire intakers, we hire document collectors, we hire demand writers, we hire lawyers, we hire marketers, we hire contractors to do a lot of the marketing, stuff like that. And over time, we consolidated. I think we're like, our team is 50% less than last year, just from this consolidation. I used to work with a lot of contractors to do copywriting and graphic design and video and this and that. Even, drafting our demands, like it doesn't require 5 people anymore. It just requires 1 demand writer
who oversees
AI tool that's overseas using an AI tool who's able to churn out 200 demands per month. 200 demands. If I would have said 3 years ago, it would have come to me, 1 demand writer could do 200 demands. I'd be like, how? What do you mean? They don't have that much time. Like, yeah, because AI, they're able to use AI and to be able to write those demands.
Yeah, I think so. I have technology leaders from the industry on this podcast quite regularly. And based on everything that I've heard and seen from them thus far, it is not a wild assumption that there will be a reduction in this industry of 60, 70, maybe even 80% in 5 years. So put yourself into shoes of a typical law firm owner who may be operating like a 5-lawyer law firm, 4-lawyer law firm. They're in one of the B2C practice area, be it personal injury, criminal defense, or estate planning, immigration, whatever else it may be. And right now there is anxiety. Like they may be hearing this in November of 2025 or maybe November of 2026. And there is a great deal of anxiety about how am I going to feed my family in those 4 or 5 years? What can they do today to future-proof their personal income those 5 years out? What would you do? I know what you're doing, but what would you do if you were them?
I have the best answer. I think it's the ultimate answer that trumps a lot of answers, is to focus on the business generation more than anything else.
New case generation.
Yeah, case generation, client generation. I call it business generation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to future-proof yourself. Because if you're just going to be running a traditional practice, do your thing, whatever referrals I get, whatever that I get from Google, whatever calls I get, I'll deal with that. Over time, these people who are focused on the business are going to eat up the market. The smarter marketing, they're going to be at more places. They're going to spend more money. and eventually your calls and referrals are going to be cut down from these actions that the market is taking. But instead, if you're willing, not everybody, not everybody's capable. If so, then that's why you need a good operator or good vendors and good marketing companies to be able to work with to focus on this client generation. But if you go focus on the faucet, can I, can I increase the faucet? Can I make the faucet bigger? That's the best way to be able to make sure that you have the best chance of surviving. Because ultimately, again, a law firm is a business. So if your law firm cannot generate clients, then you don't have a business to be able to sustain. You won't have a business to be able to sustain what you're currently doing. Essentially, you're going to end up being, again, the public service kind of company. And it's just like, okay, you get burnt out and you kind of get over it, and then you realize you have to shut it down, all that stuff. So call of action, go focus on the business generation. Again, listen to people like Sasha, hire people like Sasha to be able to help you get to the next level and help you double your law firm. At least that's like the best way to future proof it.
Absolutely. The other thing that I keep thinking about when I think about that, so I was in the financial services during the Great Recession of 2008 through 2012. I started a decade before that recession kicked off. And what my then partner and I found out that when the house of cards started collapsing, those who were well positioned, at first they survived, but then as they saw their competition fall apart, your business started rapidly growing. We've seen colossal growth like we could have never imagined actually happen during the recession and at the tail end of it and right after it. It was a hockey stick kind of growth for one reason. The demand was still there. There would arguably still be demand for legal services 5 years from now. But the competition took such a beating that within 3 years, there were 50% fewer financial service companies in our sector than there were in 2006. Because there was so much more business to go around for those who survived. So if you position yourself well for business generation, as you refer to it, you're arguably going to be bigger and better and more profitable with more systems, working fewer hours than you would today. But you have to, I like to refer to it as the check engine light. It's blinking, like flashing like this in your face and says, take action now before this engine seizes. And that will be too late.
I agree. And for me, like as you're sharing this, I think it comes down to being either reactive or proactive. Mm-hmm. So you're going to wait for the flashing light to eventually turn into your car making sounds where you're forced to take the car in for repair, or was it better, before even the flashing light to go get the checkup and make sure you do something about it? It's a proactive approach, and by the time it happens, it's already too late. At that point, the thing it'll be a matter of survival, and it's just not a fun game to play with. So better to play the proactive game.
I agree. Usually I would say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of solution or fixing. But here it may be too late. Like with AI taking such inroads with search, like we're seeing as of last quarter, Q3 of 2025, 27% of new traffic comes to our law firm clients' websites through ChatGPT. And that number is rapidly increasing. So if you're not in the answers given by ChatGPT today, what are the chances it will happen a year from now? It's only going to get a lot more expensive to get there.
Absolutely. And just yesterday, ChatGPT released their ChatGPT Atlas browser, which is essentially a Chrome competitor. So imagine Chrome owned by Google. Obviously, the homepage is Google search. Well, now a lot of people are gonna jumping on the ship of using ChatGPT's browser, and guess the homepage of that is ChatGPT, not Google. And yeah, a lot more people are gonna be ChatGPTing. Even for me, Sasha, 2 years ago, I realized that I'm personally that I'm not searching on Google anymore. So I replaced the Google app on my phone on the most prime real estate area that I have, which is like on the bottom, which is like very easy to click. I replaced it with ChatGPT and Grok, and you don't see Google on my home screen besides this.
Well, I see that. I see that Chrome tab right there next to ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, but that's like very backup. Like I barely even go there. But for the most part, like that's the first place I'm going to is tapping into ChatGPT's solution to help me figure out my answers.
By the way, a side note there: the way that ChatGPT features your law firm and your answers is foundational SEO, local SEO, and directories. So the strategy for getting featured in ChatGPT is very similar to getting featured in Google. So if you're doing exceptionally well in Google today, there's a high probability that you're going to do fairly well in ChatGPT. There's more emphasis on certain mechanics of how you do things for ChatGPT. That's quite a bit different than Google. But if you have those three things fundamentally covered and you do them very well, the leap from getting featured in Google to getting featured in ChatGPT is much smaller than, hey, our SEO is terrible. We're not showing up anywhere, but let's work on GEO. Let's work on getting featured in ChatGPT. Not going to happen. It's scrubbing the same internet for information as Google does. So it's very important. You may, as of the time of this recording, you may already be somewhat late to that game. It's a terrible thing to hear if you are in that position, but maybe there is still some time left. But I just came from a humongous marketing conference put up by HubSpot, which is a very large marketing automation company. I think it was attended by 20,000 people. The theme of it was, it is getting harder to be found across all platforms. So the time to act was like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, somewhat today. But if you're not taking those actions today, and I do not mean to be all doom and gloom, my business depends on having a lot of very successful law firms around. But it's the truth. Do not be a casualty of this technology war, because it will happen to a lot. So you gotta be very, very proactive. You gotta hear what Sam says. I know, Sam, are you still running your podcast? I remember that you've done a lot of content in the past.
No, I
Too
stopped.
too busy being successful.
No, just focus on my law firms. I like being. I personally like being more behind the scenes and just being kind of smart and strategic with everything I do. So I'm always reevaluating. I'm constantly pivoting, constantly changing, and it sometimes drives my team insane because I'm always constantly changing. But I'm doing the same thing to my own schedule and everything that I'm currently doing. So what I'm doing now, I won't be doing in 3 months for sure.
Okay. I do remember 2.5 years ago, a little more than 2.5 years ago, when you were on this podcast. I remember that you said something that I found very interesting, that most people cannot afford to do because they don't have the org chart, which was, I remember that when I have an idea, you said that, when I have an idea, I immediately take action by sending that idea to the right person on my team so that they can go ahead and implement it.
Yeah, and it comes down to a high level of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
This is something. It's just been a common theme over and over across all my law firms and all of our team members, and it just feels like you either have it or you don't. I try to instill it in people. It feels like right now my take is you either got it or you don't. Like I don't know what it is. Is it drive maybe, or is it something with like maybe you have a different perspective of time? A lot of people like they see change happening that it takes planning, like weeks of planning, months of planning, and not around at the right time. The mindset is either gets done today or tomorrow. There's no like later. Sometimes sure you need to schedule it out for next week. Fine, fine. But if you're finding yourself that you're always scheduling things out to the future, now is not the right time. When this happens, also conditional,
Mm-hmm.
conditional doing.
When this
When I
happens.
yeah, when this happens, when I settle this big case, when this litigation period finishes, then I'll be able to put. We got to realize that life becomes more chaotic over time. It's if anything, it gets harder in the future. So for me, I just happen to work quick. I'm a quick implementer. I don't overthink it. I think, but I also don't overthink. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very fine line. Um, And then I also don't sit on decisions. I'm not deciding. It's either yes or yes, a yes or no, or yes. There's no, oh, let's see what happens. Or maybe sometimes I'll park it to collect more information, um, to help me, see which is the right thing. But whatever it is, it's going to be implemented pretty much
Mhm.
immediately. So
Yeah,
high level urgency with everything you do.
it's a really good point. I think a lot of people have the fear of failure that prevents them from testing things. I hate that when people say, let's try it. I don't say let's try it. They say, let's test it. Always have an R&D budget for every department, which could be like 10% of the total department's budget, and say, like, we're going to test things for up to 10% of what we're spending on the department and see if it works. So when you look at marketing, you'll be testing things. When you look at sales/intake, you'll be testing things. Operations, HR, leadership, you'll be testing things. Some things will work out and some things will not. And you know what? Pardon my French, fuck it. That's what testing is for.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times, it doesn't have to be you to test, and it doesn't have to depend on you. Again, as you mentioned, Sasha, I'm not the one always testing everything out or doing everything myself. A lot of times I'm just texting,
Yep.
hey, check this out and let me know by tomorrow whether this is the right thing for us.
Yep.
So delegate it out.
Yeah, 100%. Sam, thank you. You're brilliant, very successful. You're 37, 38?
Yeah, 37.
37, 6 law firms, 3 kids, spending $7.2 million on advertising per annum, signing up 1,000 to 1,200 cases per month. Unbelievable. Thank you for your success, because you're sharing that. I hope that it inspires a few people who listen or watch this, because take some action. You will not. We will not regret taking it. You'll regret not taking it.
The gist of the thing, what I do is, life is short. Run. You only have one life, and just do it the way that you see it. Don't be not based on what your parents told you or how the way that it should be. Like, just do it. Find your rhythm and find your path. And be smart. Be smarter than anyone else. And for me, when I say smart, that means don't do what everyone else is doing. Be well thought out. Think through it. Use a lot of AI to help you figure out what's the best way. And then once you get clarity, just act on it, and just go for it. And another thing that you said is, like, don't have fear. Who cares? Just go for it and see where it takes you. Let me just give a call to action, Sasha. Because all these law firms are always looking to bring on the best people to join my teams across everything you could possibly think about. So it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer who's kind of burnt out and you're looking to do something fun and challenging at the same time, or you're somebody virtual who's somewhat you work in a law firm some capacity, or if you want to be on the front end of marketing or whatever that is, just find my contact information below. Let me know. And also, I have a company called My Legal Academy. We set up a lot of automations and ads for law firms. Feel free to check that out. And yeah, if you're just interested in just getting in contact with me, just find my contact information, email me, and I'll be happy to get on a call.
Perfect. And Sam, what's your email address?
sam@mollailaw.com, which is my last name.com. So it's find my, I think it'll be shared probably below. If not,
perfect. Thank you. I love this. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Sasha.